Hey nerds, how's it going? Yeah, we're here. Another weekend. So I didn't have too much actually planned for this. I'm just going to work on some of my module stuff. And if anyone's got any questions along the way, let me know. There's a few features that I want to add to a couple things. And so we'll just go into that. And then I also wanted to take a look at, if there's time, some of my documentation is a little broken. So we'll take a look at that as well. So to start, I guess I wanted to look at in AdminToolkit. I've got a function get folder size, and I was using this week, and it works great. But it took a long time to run when I ran this against a remote machine. So what I would like to do is get the folder size of maybe like a C Windows temp folder on some other computer. So add like a computer name parameter and figure out how to let all of that run over there, figure out the size, and then just shoot the size back to me. The reason it took so long was because I was pulling every file locally, basically, and then calculating the size. So I had to pull, if it was a 20 gigabyte, I think it was a 60 gigabyte folder, I had to basically download 60 gigabytes over a VPN to get the folder size. I'll just let the server take care of that. So that's what I wanted to add, is something this week that could be an improvement. So that's here in AdminToolkit. All right, functions, public. Yep. Here we go. Oops. Hide that. Out of here. Okay. So for this, we first are going to need to add restructure. All right. Let's add computer name here. And I should probably I wonder if I need to use parameter sets to figure this out. So you can group parameters together, and maybe like in this case, this is a very small example, but I've got a set of parameters that are for local stuff. But then, if someone uses the computer name parameter, then we're going to use the remote computer parameter set. And it's a way of providing a bunch of parameters on a single function, and you don't have any conflicting parameters. If someone uses two parameters that one's meant for local use, one's meant for remote use, if you have the sets defined correctly, PowerShell is going to freak out and go, "Ooh, I don't know what parameter set you're using. You can't use these two together," or something like that. In this case, I don't think I can, because folder is going to have to be on both. Computer name would be a remote parameter set. I'm not going to use parameter sets for now. I basically just check, did someone provide a value for computer name? If so, do this. So let's go into it. All right. Add a few things to this. It's always fun looking back at scripts I wrote. I wrote this a long time ago, and just to see the best practices that I use now, having to go back and correct certain things, just shows growth and stuff. So it's always fun to go back and look at some old stuff. Okay, so this is really the command that needs to be run remotely. If we specify a computer name, I need to shoot this command over to that computer, have it come up with the sum over there, send that back, and then I can do some formatting. So basically, if I do a get folder size, by default, it's going to default to whatever folder I'm in. So my AdminToolkit folder is 191 kilobytes. This brings back some big disgusting number. Let me show you. If I just copy this right now, I get this back. It's just how many bytes. And so that I'm converting, if it's less than this, it's going to be kilobytes. If it's between these number of bytes, it's in the megabyte range, gigabyte range, terabyte range. I probably should go one more below this. If it's less than a kilobyte, I guess this would just come back with like 0.1 kilobyte or something. But for now, nothing's usually gonna be smaller than that. So, okay, so what I need to do is, I guess just say if someone provides a computer name, then I need to invoke this over there. So that'll spit back the size, and I need to capture that here. So I'll say size equals whatever comes back from Invoke Command. If computer name, then I'll say else. There's no computer name. Size equals the local folder. This will have to be a using variable. Okay. So what I did here, this is a weird format if you've never messed with running commands remotely. So what PowerShell has, it's got this built-in invoke command, which is basically run a section of code, or in my case, I'm saying is run this whole block of code, take this block, ship it to the computer, and then run it as if PowerShell was opened on that computer, and you just pasted it in. Well, there's a problem when I start using variables in that script block. For example, if someone provides a folder, let me get folder size. I can say a folder, let's just go temp. So my C temp folder, when I provide this path, it sets this variable, which lives on this computer, to the path, C:\whack temp. That variable lives in the value for that variable lives in some RAM that lives on this computer. The problem is when I ship this block of code off to this, remote computer, it doesn't know what the folder variable is. It has no idea. So only when you run these remote commands, and there's several other ways to do this, there's a built-in way for you to tell PowerShell, on that remote server, for example, when it gets to this syntax, this using colon, that's all you have to add. It's still $ and the variable name, you just have to add this using colon in between. And what that tells PowerShell is, hold up, before I look for this variable, I gotta go back to the computer I came from and look for a folder variable. And it imports that variable at that time into this code block that's about to be copy and pasted, basically. So that's a way to reference variables that live on this computer even though it's being ran somewhere else. Very handy to know about this. If you try to use this using syntax in any other scenario other than PowerShell knows you're shipping off a script block somewhere else, PowerShell will yell at you. It won't even like compile your code. It will tell you, you cannot use this variable outside of these scenarios. And this is one of them. So I'm telling PowerShell, when you go get child item, pause, I gotta go back, grab a variable, and bring it into this session that lives on the machine. And there's no other variables in here, so we're good. So yeah, I think this will do it. That's kind of simple. If computer name. Yeah, by default it's empty. And I don't have a way to test this right now. I don't have a remote computer to run this on, so we'll just have to trust me that will work. I mean, I can test this later, but so what I'm going to do now that I made a change in the admin toolkit, I'm going to come out to change log. What version am I on? Yeah, 109. So I'm going to have to start a new change log version. Version 1.1, I guess. Sure. Let's go get added computer name. Oh, and I'm gonna need to add this actually before I do that. I need to update some documentation locally. So I added a parameter. So I'm learning that there's multiple ways to do PowerShell help. Writing it this way is the first way I learned, so that's the way I still do it. But there's tools that auto-generate XML or Markdown and all kinds of stuff so that your help is automatically and dynamically generated instead of having to hard code it up here. But I still do it this way until I've really mastered the other methods. And I think one of them, I'll showcase one later, how to dynamically create a bunch of Markdown. Like this, for example. I've got one here. What does this get? Folder size. So this is a bunch of Markdown that was created from the way I've written this help. Got an example. Here's a quick description on the folder parameter. And if I preview this, you'll notice it's formatted nice and pretty because it's Markdown. Some stuff doesn't work exactly though, so I'll have to go and fix that. Anyway, gotta make sure your help is updated. Note the folder path will still need to be the local path for the remote. Example would be get folder size. Some remote PC folder C. This still is the local path on this computer. The issue is when I ran it, that took forever. It was in a format in a domain like size, some remote PC, $, Windows temp, something like this. And this is technically a path that I can go to on my computer, but it has to reach across the network to do all this. And so to load all the files I was trying to get the file sizes for, it had to pull them across the network and do the calculation locally. So now instead, I'm shipping that workload to that computer itself. So there's no network involved, and it just spits me back, you know, a string of 5, 6, 7 digits. Much, much, much faster. So give a little example there. And let me just grab this as an additional example down here. Oh, I copied this. There we go. Let's look at the folder size of the... Okay, cool. So we've saved that. Where was I? Change log. That's where I was. I wonder if another cool thing we could add is, what if you want to do multiple folders? But I guess you would just provide it. Let me change one thing here. Value from pipeline. So now, if I were to say folders equals C temp, C Windows system, and my home folder. There we go. So I've got 3 folders. Folders, pipe that into get folder size. That last one would be a bit longer. I guess you'd do it that way. It would take a bit for me to. So even though oh yeah, that's huge. What in the world? So even though I got multiple sizes back, this parameter still only takes 1 value. So this pipeline basically takes the first item in there, ships it over to the function, and then it takes the second item in there, ships it over to the function. That's how the pipeline works. It just sends it across as they come out. So technically get folder size had to run 3 times. Now there's ways to write this where I could give get folder size 3 folders. And technically I'm running the function once and it is spitting back all the values, but that takes more logic and whatnot. And I don't want to do that. So you can give it multiple folders. And I suppose you could even write it like this. You have those 3 folders and you would give it PC. Yeah. And then if you had a list of PCs, you'd have to just make a loop. All the folders against this one PC, all the folders against PC2, PC3, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not going to alter this too much. This parameter is the exact same. We just made it accept pipeline values, which I just proved that works. And I know for a fact that this will work. I just can't test it right now. But we're not publishing a new version today anyway, so we're just getting some documentation done. So folder sizes from remote machines. The folder needs to be local. There we go. So I haven't published 1.1 yet, but when I do, you know, you just keep this updated. Okay, so we're done with get folder size. One other one that I wanted to look at was this su command. And this was my best attempt at mimicking su in Linux. So I'm in a, let's say, a non-elevated PowerShell session. So I'm not an admin. False, I am not an administrator. In Linux, you can do super user, and in place here, without loading a new shell, you become an admin. I guess it loads a new shell, but it does it internally here. In Windows, you cannot elevate the current process to be an administrator. You have to relaunch it with those credentials. So this is the best thing that I have. Currently, it just checks to see what version of PowerShell you have, what version of PowerShell ran the command, and then you see it runs that as admin. That's what the run as is. The issue with this, what I'd like to try to add right now is detection on what host ran the command. Right now, this is just versions. Windows PowerShell has the PS edition of desktop, and PowerShell 6 Plus, they all have the PS edition of core. So even though I'm in WindowsTerminal, when I run SU, it's gonna launch just PowerShell. I would love for it to relaunch WindowsTerminal as an admin, or or if I ran it from PowerShell, it relaunches PowerShell specifically. But yeah, basically, or if I ran it from VSCode, if I run it down here, same thing. It'll just launch PowerShell. I'd like to detect what host is running it. Oh, VSCode ran this. I need to relaunch VSCode as an admin, or WindowsTerminal, or whatever. That would be cool. That would be more like the SU on Linux. So let's do that. I think I will have to come up with a way to figure out what's the parent process that the current PowerShell is running in. Instead of just relying on the addition, I'm gonna have to actually like look at the process and see if it's PowerShell.exe, pwsh, code, WindowsTerminal. Hopefully I can figure that out. I'll have to do some Googles. I did find, I looked at this last night, like very quickly. There is a command called get, what was it called? Get PowerShell process info, something like that. PS host process info. That's what it was. Get PS host process info. So it gives me all of the PowerShell, not Windows PowerShell, the PowerShell processes that are running. And so, yeah, if we look at this, we can get the processes. And then obviously if we select, there's a value on here. I go star. So I was looking at this and I was like, oh, well, okay, this says PowerShell, but what is it? Is it this current one that's in terminal, or is it the one that's loaded in VS Code? Because they're both running, PowerShell core. So I scrolled up a bit and it does tell me right here in parent, it does tell me code. So all this process information that I'm looking at is coming from the code exe, the code application, which is VS Code. If we scroll up a little bit, the next one should tell me, yep, it does tell me Windows Terminal. The thing is this command only exists in PowerShell Core. I think PowerShell 7 specifically. So we'll have to write some logic. If we're running PowerShell 7, then that's the only way we get to differentiate. Yeah, because that's the only way I know how to get this information. We'd have to open up Windows PowerShell and see if there's a command here. Oh, no way. When I did okay, so this is available. Oh, this is perfect. Then I can just write one set of logic. Get process, select parent. Oh. Can I make this bigger? Oh, sweet. Process name is PowerShell. Product is PowerShell. Doesn't look like there is a parent property. It'd be nice if your VS Code is running Windows PowerShell, version 5.1. It'd be nice for it to reload VS Code, even though you're using the old PowerShell. So there's gotta be... Okay, here's the process info for the old PowerShell. Name is PowerShell. The main modules, this is, yeah, that's not going to change. Oh, that's exactly what I want. So here inside of VS Code, I'm running 5.1 right now. If I were to do SU, right now it would just relaunch Windows PowerShell. Even if I'm running the old one, I'd still like it to detect that it came from code and then relaunch code. Yeah, it looks like I can do it if you're on PowerShell 7. Let's save this issue for later. Let's write some stuff, assuming that we are on PowerShell 7, and see what that code looks like. So we still need to do the difference between desktop and core. We can leave this. This is just going to have to be a little... Okay. Let's comment that out for now. Okay, if it's core, I don't actually have PowerShell 6 installed. But I assume since it's .core, it would also have that parent property. So I would say, hang on. One more thing I just thought of is, how am I going to tell which one of these is this one? So I need to get the process ID of this current process, VS Code, running PowerShell. Yeah, okay, PowerShell. process ID. Oh. Okay, sweet. Sweet. So it's already stored as an automatic variable. So I know this is the one that I need to look into. So my code would say current process equals get. Is it ID? ID. There we go. Code. Okay. How do I extract just that? Okay. Let me run this in a different shell. That's exactly what I want. But I doubt if I run that here, it works because there is no parent property, so there is no process name to grab. Okay, but that was easy. I didn't want to type that. Cool. Okay, so then we need to do another switch on the parent. Just like we're doing a switch here. A switch is basically an alternative way to write if-else statements. If you don't want to stack if-else statements, you just say switch on a value, and then if this is, whichever one of these is true in the if statement, that's the one it goes with. So in this case, if I run this, that equals core. So it wouldn't match this one, it would match here, and then it will run this code. So now I'm going to switch on parent. And now we write use cases for, oh, if this came from WindowsTerminal, run this code. If it comes from code, run this code. I guess if it's just PowerShell. Nope. Oh. I guess this will be the default. If the parent isn't this or this, if it doesn't match anything, that's where your else comes in. If this, else if, and then you have your else at the bottom, which basically captures everything else. In a switch statement, that's default. If it doesn't match any of the ones above, run this code. So I guess we could do process name. Got to give us, yeah, it's got to give us a path. Command line. Okay, we would run this to relaunch it. Right. Oops. So it gives us the command. I think we have to wrap this script. I'll have to figure out exactly how to, maybe an IEX. I'll figure that out later. All right. Yeah, so if it's just PowerShell, relaunch PowerShell. Oh, duh, that's the original command. What the heck am I thinking? It's just this. Yeah, because even PowerShell 6 is pwsh. There's no reason to differentiate. Okay, duh. But if it's Windows Terminal, let's come to Windows Terminal and see what the command line is here. Programmatic. There we go. That's exactly what I want. Is there a way to call the WT command with arguments? Yeah, like you want to call this specific shell in Windows Terminal from a command that's ran somewhere else. That's exactly what I want to do. No automation yet. Blah, blah, blah. Doesn't look like it's doable yet. You'd have to set some variables. Who wants to do that? Okay, it doesn't. I just have to relaunch Windows Terminal. Yeah, which is just WT. Mine defaults to PowerShell. But I guess if I run the entire terminal as administrator, then anything else that I run in here will also be an administrator. Yeah, like this. So that's true. If I spawn a new PowerShell, that's true. Let me run Windows PowerShell from here. Sure. Okay. So it just relaunches the entire terminal, but if let's say your default is bash, but you have a PowerShell terminal open and that's the one you run it from, you'll just have to, it'll just relaunch the whole terminal. And for now, that's, I guess, okay. Okay, so if it's Windows Terminal, we just want to process as just the same thing. But this would be code. Well, some people run multiple versions of VS Code. They might be running the Insiders edition. Yeah, it'd be nice to tell which version of code is running. I don't have Insiders, so I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do this. It would have to be. Take a look at this. I guess it does give me the path. If this was something else, if it was the Insiders, it would give you the Insiders path. So I'll have to just use that. Oops. Let me copy that. There we go. All right. So if it's VS Code, I'm gonna grab just the parent, and then I'm gonna switch the process name. That way I can still reference parent. Like here, I would want to say parent.path. So we've got Windows Terminal, we've got code. What else in the PowerShell world could you run PowerShell? I guess technically in the Windows PowerShell space, you could be running ISE. And it'd be nice to relaunch ISE if you wanted that open as admin. We could try that. See what this process info looks like. Write that logic here as well. Oops. Oh yeah, there is no parent. Oh, it's PowerShell ISE. Okay. Wait. Again, what if someone runs this from VS Code? I'm talking Windows PowerShell. How do I tell the difference between VS Code, the ISE? Apparently the ISE is its own executable. So if it's desktop, let's do this same sort of logic here, except there's no parent. Just the current process. And then we'll have to do another switch here. Just copying the format below. parent dot process name. If it's PowerShell.exe, then okay, cool. I guess the default will just be start process PowerShell. I should try to, I need to come up with a way to see if it's code somehow. To do detect detected VSCode is running. Oh, okay, sure. So the question is, what's your primary goal regarding the functionality you're adding now? Yeah. So let me save this since I think it works. In the Linux world, you can, I don't have a bunch. In the Linux world, if I was on a Linux machine, you can just type SU right here, and then it asks you, like for your password, the admin password, you type that in, and then you get a new shell that is an admin. Right here in the same window, you just elevate your current shell to being an administrator. There's no way to do that in Windows. Like right here, if I do a test administrator false, and I need to do something as an admin, instead of manually hitting the X, going and finding, oh, terminal, I gotta right click, run as admin. I just wanna be able to type SU right here, and it will figure out where that came from, and it will relaunch that process as an admin. This is the best you can do in the Windows world. Hang on. So let me copy this function that I got right now and throw that in here. Okay, so if I do SU, it should know enough to relaunch WindowsTerminal. There we go. So now I'll have to figure out how to close this one. But it launched a new terminal as admin because the SU command came from terminal. If I run this in Windows PowerShell, so no matter where you run it in PowerShell, it knows I'm coming from Windows PowerShell, or PowerShell 7 running in WindowsTerminal, or PowerShell running in VSCode, and it will relaunch VSCode or whatever. I gotta fix my bot, or just get rid of it. Who cares? I don't know how to use that stuff. It's yelling at you. Yeah, I think so. It looks like it's working. I'm missing a few pieces. One piece is if I was running VSCode with Windows PowerShell down here, it will just launch Windows PowerShell. It doesn't know how to detect that code. VSCode is what ran that thing. But now it's running PowerShell 7. So if I run SU here, it should relaunch VSCode. So all that logic is working, which is actually surprising because I didn't test any of it. It's amazing when code works on the first try. So there's two versions of PowerShell. There's the old one, which is called desktop, and then there's all the new ones, which is called core. So initially, that's how I'm differentiating. If I'm running the new version, I get this sort of this parent property, and I can detect if it's Windows Terminal or code or whatever else. I can add to this list as I find more examples. But in the old desktop world, I don't have parent. So I don't know how to tell if it came from VSCode or what. This comes in handy though. I stopped using it because it wouldn't work. Like right here, if I just type SU, it'll just launch actually PowerShell, not Windows Terminal. And I don't like using PowerShell because my fonts don't work and all this stuff. But with the new function, which I have to paste in manually right now, SU, it will load a new PowerShell. So I wonder if I could try Windows Terminal and then exit. I wonder if exit will close out of the original one. That's what I want. If I'm opening up a new one, I don't want the old one. Oh, perfect. Ah, it's easy. Now I'm already thinking I want to add a parameter called don't exit. No exit or something like this. So here I'd say if not, okay, let me save that. Okay, so basically I want someone to be able to say SU, no exit. For whatever reason, they want to keep the old one around. They can. Or they just SU without it, and it will close that one and just launch the administrator one. Is there a way to utilize having PowerShell check the active processes list? Yes, so I ran across this issue early on. So the command that I'm using to, well, in the past, before I found out that the PowerShell process itself stores the process ID. But notice there's two PowerShells running. So there's no way for me to tell. In the old way, there was no way to tell which one was me, but I'm already grabbing the process I'm running from. The process handle is stored in this session. So this is, I don't know where this one is because I closed. Oh, I probably have two running. Oh, the 20,000 would be the integrated console. So yeah, so I've got two different PowerShells running. Which one did I come from? So that's why I'm using this syntax. Yeah, so it gets me, it's this one. Even if there's 20 running, I know where the command came from. So let's add some documentation because I just added a parameter. That's fun. Parameter. Is that a good name for this? No exit? Because I think it's nice to have that feature. Like if I've been working out of this shell for an hour and I need to run one thing real quick as an admin, but I want to keep working here, should no exit be the default? Like maybe I want to say SU exit, and that will close this one, but by default, maybe leave it open. I mean, PowerShell stores your history, so I guess it's not a big deal. I have to think about that. I'm going to leave it as is. No, yeah, it just sounds cool. Let's keep it. Okay. Sure thing. Yeah, okay. Parameter no exit. Default. XU. Close the session. Specify no exit to keep the non-admin shell. All right, now I need another example using this. Man, it is so windy here. My house is almost shaking. Well, I already am. Depending on what edition of PowerShell is running, this will start an overlay process and close the original process. Okay, now let's go to changelog real quick and add this. So, added additional parent process section instead of only launching or whoop. Okay. This can now relaunch WindowsTerminal, VSCode, powershell.exe. I guess that's it for now. Okay. Well, that's all we've changed so far, and we're about out of time. I wanted to look at some of the documentation stuff, which we won't have time for, but maybe next time. So, like when I update this stuff here, that's what in PowerShell you can run the get help command on a specific function, a specific command, and it will give you help information. This comes from writing this up here. So if I do get help su full, we'll see everything, all the examples. Like I literally just added this and I wrote it in a way that PowerShell knows how to digest that help information. So it's a way, so I added the no exit parameter. Here's a quick description, and PowerShell generates this stuff. It knows it's not required. It doesn't have a specific position. You have to name it, all this stuff. So it's nice to keep everything documented. Yeah, so that's why I keep this up to date. But there's a PowerShell module called, I guess it's called Platypus. I can't remember how to spell it. But it can look at all these functions, get the help information out of them, and then convert that into Markdown. So it created this based on the way I wrote the other set of help information. And so where that's helpful is like in GitHub, for example, or even making your own website to host these docs. So out here, if I come into the SU, here at the bottom, it just looks prettier because it's in GitHub. And you can see, it sort of surrounds some code examples and things. So yeah, this is this was generated automatically based on what I have in the files themselves. So I'll have to look into how, like, documentation is hard to keep up to date all the time. So I wonder how other people have automated this help generation stuff, like put it in their pipeline. I've got a pipeline for building and publishing the module and testing and everything, but I'd like to create a pipeline for when changes are made, like on a pull request, automatically update the documentation. Something like that. I'll have to look into how other people do it. But yeah, so we did a couple things. We learned about what's a switch. It's just like a fancy if statement. If this, else if this, and then else. That's what these are. So just a bunch of ifs, and then default is the catches everything else. And if you don't want to have a default like this, let's say you only want to handle if it's WindowsTerminal, or if it's code, or if it's PowerShell. A lot of times I'll have my default just be like write error. I don't know where you can, like, that's how they handle the exceptions that they haven't coded for. So you can change what your catch-all is. In my case, because we're even in this section of code, I know that I can safely run the PowerShell, the pwsh command. But let's say someone's running this from, I don't know, some host that I don't know what else can run PowerShell like this. I would like, Atom, for example. I don't think Atom can run PowerShell, but a different code editor that has PowerShell built in, for example. I would like to say, you cannot run SU from this host. I could do that, but I'm not. Just by default, it'll relaunch PowerShell. So, all right, let me save all this. We got that done. Like I said, I wanted to get to the documentation side of things, but we did not have time. So, have a good one. Thanks for the questions. Yeah, I'll see you guys in a week. Have a good one. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. See ya.